Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to the MonaLisa Monroe Morning Show. Grab your coffee or your tea because we've got a lot to talk about today. But before we get started, yeah, you already know. Please go to my website, www.monalisamonroe.com, to purchase the merchandise. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Yes. Or you can purchase my book, Life After the Diagnosis. And if you know me, or if you don't know me, I am a survivor of leukemia. And Life After the Diagnosis gives you the day by day journal of what I experienced through that whole thing. But it's not a sad book, it's an encouraging book, it's a motivational book. And if you know someone who is struggling, or if you know someone that is a survivor, this is a book that you might want to purchase. Life After the Diagnosis by me, MonaLisa Monroe. But the book is under MonaLisa Cash, which is my maiden name. So when you go to Amazon Prime, Amazon.com, AmazonPrime.com, and type in MonaLisa Cash, Life After the Diagnosis, you'll get the book. Or you can go to my website, and it's way easier. www.MonaLisaMonroe.com. All right. I want to give just a few shout outs to a few companies that I absolutely adore. First off, I want to give a shout out to Crystal Pier Gates. Crystal Gates, honey, the t-shirts everywhere I go, I get compliments on my Chucks and Pearls t-shirt. Thank you so much. Bad girl, bad girl. She does t-shirts and she has a massage license. So she is a massage therapist and she is the bomb and she lives in Texas. So I'm giving you a shout out, Texas. Crystal Gates. You guys look her up. Great massage therapist and she does t-shirts, custom made t-shirts. Second, you already know my girl Tanisha Taylor, Yoga in the Moment, my yoga instructor. Yes, I need to call her back because I need some yoga happening right now. But I want you guys to check her out. Tanisha Taylor, Yoga in the Moment. She's everywhere. She's on Facebook. Her website is www.yogainthemoment.com. Last but not least, I want to give a shout out to my guest last week, which was Gilliard and Company. Gilliard and Company actually is a foster care organization that helps foster care um, kids. Now, these kids are teenagers. They're 18 to 21, so they're young adults pretty much, but they help tremendously. They give them housing, they give them food, they give them clothing, they even pay the rent. I mean, they're amazing. Gilliard and Company. You guys look them up on Facebook or their websites, okay? Check them out. All right, so let's get started. Oh boy. Okay. So, did you guys catch the verses? Now, I'm not okay. Verses, if you're not familiar with verses, verses started actually during the pandemic. And I think it was a DJ Nice, D Nice. And he would, do the turntables. And I think he originally started verses, but it would be an artist against another artist. And it would just be flowing. And I mean, it's just a quarantine party, is what he titled it. Quarantine Club. Club Quarantine is what he called it. So the verses, I mean, it's been Gladys Knight versus Patti LaBelle. It's been Run DMC versus, oh my goodness, who was it? I forgot who Run DMC went against, but Snoop Dogg. I mean, it has been a lot of artists going against one another. So this last one went old school. This last one was the verses was the Isley Brothers versus Earth, Wind, and Fire. So you guys, I just want to know, did you look at or listen to the verses? Okay. Not only were they going against one another, I mean, it was good too. I mean, they still got it. But Steve Harvey was the host for the verses this time. And so after the verses, now during this club quarantine versus battle, Steve Harvey, he makes me laugh. I mean, he's just hilarious to me. So Steve started reminiscing, and so Steve started adding his 3 cents and he just started, I mean, Steve teleported back to his back to his early days, and he was there. He had story after story. I remember, and so after it was all over, social media lit him up. They were like, if we could just listen to the music and not Steve Harvey talk about this. And then they started making fun of Steve Harvey. And I mean, I loved it. So I want to just ask you guys, what did you guys think of this verses? It was the Isley Brothers against Earth, Wind, and Fire. And they still have that, I don't know, that old school feel, that old school flair. You know what I'm saying? I loved it. I love Isley Brothers, period. And Earth, Wind, and Fire, I mean, my mom and she loved them. I mean, I love the music, but I'm not that into them. Isley Brothers came back when R. Kelly brought them back. I mean, I know you guys don't like R. Kelly, but I'm just saying that the Isley Brothers sort of was in the back, in the backdrop. They weren't singing, they weren't doing anything, and man, R. Kelly brought them back with In the Closet or whatever, In the Closet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and just brought them back. And I mean, their sound is just so amazing. Like Uncle Charlie. You know, Charlie Wilson. I mean, Snoop Dogg brought him back to gospel and oh my goodness, Uncle Charlie started doing a whole bunch of stuff. So now he's back relevant. So I wanted to know, what did you guys think? So I definitely did. So what did you think, Danielle? Tell me, what did you think about Versus, the Isley Brothers and Earth, Wind, and Fire? I loved it. I still think they got it. Whoop, whoop. I loved it. And Steve Harvey being the host, he is the host with the most. I mean, he can host anything on Family Feud. I love him on Family Feud. So I'm like, I'm for it. I'm all for Steve Harvey hosting everything and anything. I don't care. I love him as a host. I think he's hilarious. So, did you guys watch the verses? Isley Brothers and Earth, Wind, and Fire. And if you did, what did you think about it? But while I wait on you guys to tell me what you thought about Earth, Wind, and Fire, oh man, DMX, man, I mean, the whole man, and I like DMX, and to hear that he did an overdose, he came so far. I knew he was on drugs, but he got off of them, with my understanding, and he started going back to church. And I mean, his prayer, oh my goodness, he's got a prayer on social media, guys. You got to find that prayer. I mean, and then I think he preached or said a word of motivation, or a word of encouragement or something like that at one of Kanye West. You know, Kanye West had that church going. And I think DMX did some type of motivational speech or something like that. And baby, he was off the chain. So, man, prayers going up to DMX. I hope he pulls through for real. Oh, they said he was brain dead. And I mean, but God can do anything. God can do anything. And he's got a lot of people praying for him. So I hope that he comes through. I really, really do. I hope he comes through. DMX, man, well, I saw a special not too long ago about Rough Riders. Man, they had a short clip on some of the music that the Rough Rider, man, DMX, pull through, brother. Pull through. We are praying for you. Rough Riders. Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay, so Gary Monroe. Good morning, sir. Isley Brothers never best. Okay. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Right? I love the Isley Brothers. They were off the chain. I thought it was great. I thought it was wonderful. I liked it. And I like Steve Harvey as the host. He can host anything. I mean, anything is funny to me. He's funny, but he he pulled back in the closet, and I mean, he was wearing this sparkly looking shiny suit, and then he had this hat. Y'all, Steve Harvey was ready on verses. He was ready. Do you hear me? But anyway, DMX, coming back to you, my brother. We're praying for you. Hopefully, you'll pull through. I was so excited to hear that you were, off drugs and just doing well, because there was a special, I think a podcast that he was on, and he actually said that he was into tricked into using crack. What he said was he was 14 or 15 years old, and he looked up to this older cat in his neighborhood. And of course, he had skipped school. He was doing, being bad or whatever, doing what kids do at 14 and 15. And he started hanging out with this guy that he looked up to. And he said that this guy laced a marijuana joint. He laced it with crack. And back in the day, like the early 80s, the crack epidemic was crazy, and they would lace marijuana joints, and they would call them primos, wet. They would call them all kind of stuff. But anyway, so he was smoking marijuana anyway at this young age of 14 or 15. And so when he smoked this particular joint that was laced with crack, that was it. He said he felt this high that he's never felt before. And that's usually what they say. That first high is what uh, drug addicts continue to chase after, and they never get it back, that first high. And that's how they get addicted, trying to get that first high again. Good morning, Jackson. How are you? Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome. Thank you for tuning in today. Right now, we're asking, did you see the verses between the Isley brothers and Earth, Wind, and Fire? And what did you think about the whole Steve Harvey? And secondly, I just sort of tapped into DMX, just wishing him well, and just to hear his story on this podcast was amazing. Just to hear how he got hooked on the drugs in the very beginning. It's just heart wrenching. I mean, it's just sad. And unfortunately, that is the story of so many African Americans in this early part of this drug war. Back in the 80s, first of all, they dropped it in our neighborhoods. And then secondly, knowing that you're low income, you need money, and then you start selling it. And I mean, they were saying on this special that people would make what, $5,000 a day. I mean, for a poor person, come on now, for anybody. So I just really hope he pulls through, because I really like DMX. So praying for you, brother. Pull through. Yes. Big ups, as they say. So last but not least, the third topic that we will be talking about, of course, is the trial. I have been glued to my TV talking about the trial. The trial of David Chauvin, not George Floyd. And I'm so glad that there were some lawyers that cleared that up, because people kept saying the trial of George Floyd. No, this is not the trial of George Floyd. It is the trial of David Chauvin. That's what this is. So I have been glued to the TV, just watching witness after witness, and it's gut wrenching, it's sad, it's frustrating to know that you have to sit here and go through the process, but everyone is due the due process, even murderers like David Chauvin. Everyone is due this fair trial. So the defense team, man, the defense team is grabbing straws, if you ask me. I mean, they're talking about everything. They're talking about the crowd. They're talking about drug use. They're talking about everything but in anything. I mean, yesterday, they even went as far as to say his knee wasn't on his neck the whole time. His knee was on his shoulder blade. Really? Come on, defense lawyers. Come on, really? But I mean, I understand you got to do something. You got to talk about something outside of the man just literally killing a man on video. I mean, the witness, I think his name was Matthews, the first witness, the martial artist, um, the karate guy. I forgot his name. Matthews, I think his name was. He said it plain as day. I witnessed a murder. I mean, the video tells the story. And like the prosecution first came out and said, believe your eyes this time. You know the saying, don't believe your lying eyes. No, you need to believe your eyes this time. Plain as day. But I understand he has to have a fair trial. So this is why this is taking so long. Okay. Now, I'm sort of glad the way they laid it out because the first week was, I'm talking about witnesses, I'm talking about video, I'm talking about they were doing, in the first week, they were laying it on thick, the prosecution was laying it on thick. So this second week here, today's Thursday, they had professionals, or should I say, you know, doctors and paramedics, and I mean the lingo was way up here. The language was talking about, you know, the procedures, the expectuation, you know, the breathing. I mean, they were in depth talking about George Floyd. When did he stop breathing? When was he breathing? Could he breathe? You know, it was all of this week. And also this week, there has been police officers, not from Minneapolis, but police officers from LA, which is so interesting because, hello, the Rodney King trial did not end well. But these police officers are coming in for the prosecution side. So they're talking about extensive force. They were saying that it was extensive. They said it was unnecessary. Now we're talking about police officers in California. And we know the history of LAPD. So for them to say what they said this week, come on, that's huge. That's huge. So, of course, I am stuck to the TV to see how many witnesses that they're continuing to bring on. I mean, can you imagine? Everybody was saying the police are not going to testify against one another. It ain't going to happen. Well, guess what? The police are. They don't want to hear really. I really don't think they want to hear from Minneapolis police because they think that they're shady. But the police officers that did come forth was on the prosecution side, my people. hmm But I have to honestly say, I was a little nervous. I was a little nervous to hear George Floyd's girlfriend on the stand. I understand the reason why they brought her on the stand. They wanted to humanize George. They didn't want to have him seem like this big black monster, like they want you to think he was. He was big. He was crazy. He was drugged up and this and that. Well, they brought her on to put a human touch to it. And they had to be honest. He did have a drug problem, and they did drugs together. So the prosecution had to let that come on out. And I hated that part. And I know they had to bring it out because the defense would have trampled her. The defense would have ate her alive if the prosecution hadn't already brought it out. But one thing I love about what they're doing is they're taking the air out of the balloon of the defense. Every chance they get, they are nailing it. You know, what the defense would call themselves trying to bring up, they already talk about it. And that's the key, I think, is to tell the truth. If you tell the truth and put it out there, it is what it is. I mean, boom, truth is truth. What the the Bible doesn't lie, the truth will set you free. I mean, that's just how it goes. But if you put the truth out there, what else can you what? But when you lie is when the problem starts. So the prosecution is putting the truth out there. Yes, he had a drug problem. Yes, he did it. He did drugs with his girlfriend. Yes, he did take pills. And that's another thing that was a little woo to me, was the fact that they had to show that he had pills in the car. Man, but they had to show that. But also, I gotta continue to watch it because the prosecution is sort of going in a direction that's very interesting to me, because they were saying that the pills were in George's car, but they were also saying that pills were in the police car. So the defense is trying to say that the pills fell out of his pockets, maybe, when they were wrestling with him in the back seat of the car. If I remember correctly, pills were in the front of the police car. But I could be wrong. But I know pills were in the car. So now I think they're trying to basically find out what is the deal with the pills. I saw, and let me do a side note here. I saw on one of the videos that they came to the scene. George, I mean not George, but David Chauvin and Officer Tao. Okay, they came to the scene putting on gloves, but the other two officers didn't have gloves. You know, that seemed weird to me. Why did y'all put on gloves? The other two officers didn't have gloves. And then there was a question that was that was given from the defense about drugs being inserted in the rectum. It's just a whole, I mean, you guys, I don't know what the defense is trying to pull. I really don't. But like I told my husband, like I told you guys last week, I hope they don't play with this case. And one of the viewers last week said something that really struck me and was very interesting. She said, Reverend Monica said that the prosecution has to bring it because of that very reason. You have to prove without a shadow of a doubt that there's no doubt that he killed this man, George Floyd. Even though it looks like a case open and shut to some, you still have to sort of sway some people. So I'm on social media and I'm scrolling, I'm trolling, I'm doing my thing. And literally, there are people saying that he was resisting arrest. After the videos of the trial, people feel that George Floyd was resisting arrest. He was pleading, he was telling them that I'm not that guy, this is not how I am. And then the defense was saying, everybody says that when they get in trouble. This is not me. I'm sorry. I don't do drugs. They were saying all of that. People say what they think the police want to hear. so they can get away with whatever. But all at the same time, just to see people don't think that this is murder, it's just it's just surprising to me. It's just really surprising to me how you watch this video and now with the case, with the trial, it's video that you've never seen. And you still come up with that same conclusion after looking at all the angles, all the information. You still think that this was a man that was resisting arrest. Shocking. 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 I don't know. So, are you guys watching the trial? Are you guys fixated like me on the trial? I really want to know. I want to know the ins and the outs of what's happening. I do. Because I want to sit there, and it's hard. Don't get me wrong, it is hard to watch those videos, especially the ones of I don't know how his family is doing it. And what I'm told or what I see and what I hear is his brother is in the court. He's there. And he literally has to see his brother die over and over and over. I just can't. I just can't. I mean, that's just, and I feel funny, and I'm not even related to him. Okay, I don't even know who he is, and it's gut wrenching to me. So just to imagine if that was a family member, and you have to watch these videos of this police officer killing your family member over and over and over again. It's man, that's hard. That is hard. For real. Oh, I get chills just thinking about it. But I'm going to tell you this. The defense attorney tried his best to get under the skin of these police officers. And it's funny. No, it ain't funny. But it's smart how the prosecution has every black chief, police officer. I mean, and they try to trip them up now. The defense tries their best to trip them up, whether it's a hold on, wrong slide, hold on, just a minute, I'm not ready, or a good morning, how are you today? You know, I get it. I get it. You're just trying to be nice. You trying to, shake it. But that one police officer that was, I think he was over the task force, and the task force that was there. Oh yes, he was over the program of extensive police brutality. The police, you know, doing this all this extra. So anyway, he was the captain of that team pretty much, and I mean, he was solid. And I knew when he saw that video, they showed him a little snippet of that video. It got to him. I mean, it really did. I saw it in his eyes. It was like he was like, oh, but he kept it together. He kept it together. And I'm over here sitting in my chair like, keep it together, brother, keep it together. But can you imagine? You're looking at this and you are the captain or you are the lead in this organization that talks about police extensive brutality, police doing the most to a person. And he was asked those questions. When do you stop kneeling? When do you stop the oh my gosh, I don't know if you guys saw it, but on the video, he was already in handcuffs like this, right? Well, next thing you know, they show that David started twisting his hand like this. So you're already in handcuffs, right? They're behind your back. You're on the ground, chest first, face in pavement. Three more officers or two more officers on the rest of your body. And then he's got your hand bent upward in the handcuffs. So you are like, not only are you trying to restrain him or whatever, you're torturing him. So we saw you torture, we saw you harass, we saw you kill a person. And this is all because you're saying that the 911 call said that it was a black man under the influence. So you felt like you had to go full force. You had to go in because of that very reason. Interesting. Interesting. Hmm. It's amazing. It's amazing how they portray black men. He was big. He was black. He was under the influence. And like one of the officers says, you're a police officer. You're supposed to be prepared. You're supposed to be ready. You don't supposed to be scared. Okay, so let's say you are scared. But that doesn't mean you have to. You're trained. At least you're supposed to be. Chauvin was he was doing this for 19 years. He was a police officer for 19 years. That's a long time. That's a long time. So I don't want to hear about you being nervous. Good morning. Good morning, Mike. How are you? Did you watch the trial? Are you watching the trial? What did you think about the trial? Hmm. Yeah. Interesting. Very interesting. Good morning. How are you guys? Good morning. Good morning. Glued to the TV. I know. Me too. I'm glued to the TV. Well, you guys, I want to bring on my special guest. You know, I love to bring on my special guest. The special guest today and every time, he's special to me. Mr. I'm just going to leave it on Mr. No, let me stop. Gary Monroe. Gary Monroe will be joining us as my special guest. And you guys ask us anything, preparing us for, for the worse, for the better.
Good morning.
Good morning to you, sir. How are you?
I'm feeling good, but I don't know how I feel about the term
Mr.
Mister.
Color purple.
That's it's a good thing, but it's a negative connotation.
Is it really?
Yeah, but it's all right. I'll portray the role as Mister.
Okay.
Everything is good. How are you this morning?
I'm doing good, Mister. No, I'm teasing. I'm teasing.
It's all good. I can handle it.
I can
handle it. Yeah, I can handle being called Mister, you know?
Okay.
Yeah, I can handle it. How is everyone doing this morning?
Well,
I'm her special guest.
You're always my special guest.
Richard laughed about that.
Oh, the last time?
Yeah. He laughed about that special guest thing, you know.
Yeah, you're my special guest.
Well, I appreciate that. What's going on?
Well, you already know what we're talking about today.
What we're talking about right now.
Well, we're talking about the trial. We're talking about the trial.
Yeah.
And yeah, go ahead. What did you want something to say about that?
Well, I mean, it has to play out.
Yeah.
The trial has to play out. This is, again, we cannot say it enough that this is the trial of the ages for America.
Yes,
And I
yes.
think I heard you say something relevant to this is the Tanya, Mr. on the Color Purple was horrific.
I know. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop.
That's all right.
This is my king.
No, no, no.
My king. He's not
Call
my
me
mister.
Mister.
He's my king.
I'm all right with it.
Go ahead, man.
See, we could do that. We could do that. Because you know what Mister means to you. You know what I mean?
Honey, go ahead and finish your point.
But in any case, my point is,
yeah,
I'll be your Mister.
Honey.
But in any case, but yeah, we know that this is the trial of America right here. America is on full display of the heart of America. As we stated last week, and when the trial first began to cover the trial, you stated that as Dr. King, he challenged the moral conscience of America,
right,
in the civil rights movement. But this is a movement of another sort. And essentially, this is not just a movement. This is judgment for America.
Whoa!
Oh, it's deep.
Oh my God!
It's deep. I think
judgment.
There's a quote of
wow,
Thomas Jefferson that stated, and I may be paraphrasing here. He said, "My heart trembles to think that God is just. My heart trembles because to know that God is just, and that the moral arm of justice will soon bend toward what is right." And you know,
I think the writer of Amazing Grace said that.
No, it was Thomas Jefferson that said that.
Jefferson?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
wow.
Who was the opponent of the Declaration of Independence. But the point that I'm making is this trial here questions the heart of America. That if you do not have sympathy,
right,
if your heart does not hurt, for the death of George Floyd, then your heart is seared with bitterness, and hate, wickedness, and evil. You are just not of God if you don't have a heart for the atrocity that was displayed before a candid world. That's how deep it is. I mean, to think about it now, the George Floyd's death aroused the consciousness and touched the hearts not only of Americans but people
all over
worldwide.
All over the world. Yeah.
Worldwide. It catapults it to a place beyond just black and white. This is about the humanity, the being of a person. Just like we always say, God, not what we say, but as it is written, God blew into our nostrils the breath of life and we became a living being. This is about that being.
Yeah, it's about seeing us as a human being and not as this beast or this monster that you have to control or you have to, tame, and I think that was the whole idea of the 911 call or the response to the 911 call. I think he felt like Superman. I think he felt like he was going to save the day. He felt like, I'm the police. This black man is going to bow. This black man is going to obey. This black man is going to do what I want him to do. And if he doesn't, I'm going to do what I did.
Yeah, it's just horrific. Just crazy. And I think I heard you say earlier also about George Floyd's family having to witness this, sit in the courtroom and witness his death. They have to live it every day over and over again. And, to the broader picture of what George Floyd's death represents.
Yeah.
How many deaths do we as a people have to die
over
in America?
And over.
How many deaths do we have to die?
That's crazy.
Over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Before
we get equality.
Before we literally have liberty and justice and the ability for the pursuit of happiness.
It's crazy.
But it's
to me, you have to see us as human. That's the whole thing. And you never have, because when we were brought over, we were workers like the mule. We were your beast of burden.
With an economic engine.
We were your beast of burden. We were the workers, which was basically your machine. So it goes all the way back to the beginning. You never saw us as humans. And I remember Viola Davis said something about this when she was being interviewed on a podcast. She said that she was seen with a little girl, and this little girl was, I think it was her daughter. I think she has a little girl. And the way a white woman was looking at her, she felt like, why is she looking at me like that? And so she sort of looked at her like, what's up, And the white lady says, is that your daughter? And she was like, yes, And then she said, so you're married? and it was like, yes. Family, the whole idea of family, the whole idea of a black woman and a black man with a black child together, happy, it's like it's unheard of, because we were ripped apart back in the day. Our husbands were ripped from us, children. So when we come together as family, it's like it's threatening, or it's like taboo when you see a happy black family. Oh, you're married? Oh, is that your child? Oh, so you can have babies?
Well, happiness is inherent to our being.
Yeah, we just,
happiness.
We're just
joyous.
Joy. Yeah.
And when I say jovial as a people, I'm saying that from a place of having an enriched spirit and heart and soul. It's just in us. The drum beat of, just like the word says about that, David had a heart after God's own heart. And it's more than just he had a love affair or an intimate care of the heart of God, but it also signifies that his heart was synchronized with the heartbeat of God.
Right, the rhythm.
And our hearts are inherently synchronized with the heartbeat of God. It's the drumbeat of the motherland.
Yeah.
And that's where that jovialness and joy.
I'm sorry. Come back.
Cannot be broken.
Come back, Gladys. Let me read what you said. I have been watching in part. Sometimes I have a mother of a black son, as a mother of a black son and godsons. It's hard to watch my thoughts after. Yes, 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 yes. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. His pocket. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Just concerned with hurting someone, my heart bleeds. I agree, Miss Smith. Thank you for tuning in, Mr. Brooker. The video footage from cell phones is undeniable. Right? Before it was the police testified. America cannot deny the inhuman. I agree.
And
I totally agree. You are correct,
when you say
sir.
About before it was the police.
Yes, Tanya.
Testimony against ours.
Right.
And then even when we would have convincing video, the question would always be, Well, we don't know what happened before this.
Yeah, here we go.
We don't know what happened before this.
Right.
But this trial shows us what has
Jackson.
Hey, dude is on me, right?
Come on.
He says,
come on.
But this trial has shown us what happens before. And this is not an isolated occurrence. This is what happens all the time. Just imagine living in a place where you have law enforcement that is biased against you, jury that is biased against you, judge that is biased against you.
Yeah.
That everyone in the due process, in that process of the order of due process, is stacked against you.
Your peers. That's what get me. How is the whole jury white and they're my peers?
You've been judged.
And then the lawyer that you give me is from the state, and I'm going against the state. I don't know.
But I'm watching. This is one case I would say.
It's interesting.
I would hate to be a DA. I would hate to be.
You know, I wonder what that conversation was. Okay, when he first got assigned to David Chauvin, I wonder what the conversation was. Did he just come out and say, "Did you kill this man? Do you think you killed this man?" Because how can you defend someone that you know is guilty, but that's your job? Yet they continue to change the narrative. Yes, they do.
The history of America.
Rotate Gary out with me and Jackson sometimes.
Maybe you should rotate.
What do you guys think about? What do you guys think about the trial? Rotate that.
You can't handle that rotation, my brother. you can't sit in this seat, my brother. I'm sorry, man. We really appreciate the love. I'm telling you straight up. You can't sit in this seat right here. Now, don't let me get started. You know what I mean?
Okay, let's stay focused.
Let's just deal with that right quick, like, okay? You know, this MonaLisa Cash was all of that in her own right. Okay, MonaLisa Cash. She had a surname that, as she stated, she wouldn't change for nothing. But you see that name, right? See that Monroe? She says, listen, I want to trade out Cash for Monroe. It has a better ring, has a better sound. And not only that, you just can't sit in this seat, man. This is MonaLisa Monroe show.
Why y'all get him started today?
Because they don't know, baby. They don't know.
Babe.
Let's go back. Let's talk about, you had
the Isley Brothers.
Yeah.
And Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yeah, come on, man.
That verses.
Come on.
What you think about that verses?
You know, Isley Brothers is my that's one of my favorites.
Okay.
You know that.
As long as you don't try to say it.
Hey, listen,
don't you?
Listen, living for the love of you.
You
come
guys,
on, man.
Where did this?
That's the song.
The
song?
Okay, so do you like Steve Harvey being the host? What did you think about him being the host?
I have no problem.
I thought he was funny.
Steve Harvey being. I'm not. I didn't see it.
Social media ate him up. They were saying that Steve Harvey kept reminiscing to the point to where he was taken away from the music.
Yeah.
It was too much reminiscing.
But it was. I saw some of the, like you say, social media posts.
Yeah,
I looked at it.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I just looked at it online and just saw. Hey, man, I'm a fan of the Isley Brothers. I'm a fan of Earth, Wind, and Fire.
They had brought them back.
That's my best Philip Bailey right there, man.
They brought him back. They brought him back. I think R. Kelly brought Isley Brothers back.
I want to correct that, dog. No,
the Isley Brothers, they weren't doing anything.
Darling, their music is sealed in history in the Hall of Fame.
I'm not saying that they weren't, but if they bring them relevant to the 21st century to the audience now,
I got
that's R. Kelly did that.
But see, those artists of the 70s, late 60s, 70s, early 80s, for the generation now, it's more than just bringing them to relevancy now. It's when the music that they made back then is so powerful that the generation today want to go back and listen to that music.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, just like Charlie Wilson.
What
like
did
Charlie
Tanya
Wilson.
just say? She said something.
Tanya, what you say, Tanya? Everyone knows that he's guilty. Correct. However, there are several caveats that will determine the sentencing once proven guilty. Now, see, that was one thing that I did say, Tanya. I said, okay, let's say they did, he's guilty. Okay. You better not just give him 5 years. You better not give him 15. You need to give him life. That's what I say. Because anything under 50, I think it's going to be some mess. I think it's going to be some mess.
And there are
he
two
needs
aspects.
to be guilty and pay for it.
There are two aspects of this trial. First and foremost, as you just alluded, being charged guilty, and then the sentencing.
Right.
Because either way,
you don't give him a couple of years.
It's going to have to be to the full magnitude. We know that it's.
Make him. Man. I'm sorry.
Listen.
Don't kill him, because I don't believe in the death penalty. I'm a firm believer of, go to jail for life, but I don't believe taking a life, helps anything. So I think he should go to jail for life. No parole, none of that. You go to jail and you stay there. Now, I hope that the people in jail don't get you, because, that happens often. So I'm hoping that that's not the case, but I'm just saying, you need to go to jail for life, like the movie Life.
Well,
for life.
What would be the
60
the minimum
plus.
And the max that he could
get?
The
minimum.
Because what is the charge?
The
second and third degree?
10, 15.
Is it second and third degree?
Yeah, it's not first. First ain't even on the table.
Right.
It's not even on the table.
So I'm trying to anyone knows what is the maximum
10
for
the max,
second degree and third degree?
Oh, okay. I know the minimum is what I read was like 10 to 15.
Phyllis Russell says here that 19 years on the force, they need to check all of his arrest.
They did. And they said that he had complaints that was thrown out. They said he had excessive force that was proven to be, worthy or confirmed or whatever. They checked his record. Oh, yeah. And he has a lot of complaints. I think it was like 20.
But
he's dirty. He's a dirty cop.
One of the most compelling witnesses that it was almost like prophetic in a sense. Is what Bob Marley says in the song Redemption Song, in that some say it's just a part of it. We have to fulfill the book. And when Mr. McMillan, the 61-year-old gentleman, when he said he had seen Chauvin 5 days prior.
5 days.
And he said to Chauvin,
Grace.
5 days before this incident or this murder, he shared with him, just like you want to go home, let him or let us go home to our families. 5 days prior to. Wow. Grace. Makes this statement to the officer Chauvin, and then 5 days later, we have this occurrence right here with George Floyd.
And let's just, let me go there for just one moment. 5 is the number of grace. So if you look at this in the spiritual realm, he actually asked for grace for George Floyd. In the spiritual realm, he asked for grace from that man, not knowing what was going to happen 5 days later, but prophetically, the grace is what was important here. And David Chauvin decided not to give mercy or grace to George Floyd. Break that down. Okay, we've got a few seconds. So before we go, first off, Thank you all for tuning in to the MonaLisa Monroe Morning Show. I really appreciate it. All your comments, all your checks, all your likes, all your thumbs up, all your smiley faces. I appreciate it all. Thank you so much. And go to my website, www.monalisamonroe.com. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Have a great day. Bye.